Olivia Wright stood frozen at the entrance of Centauri Station, her heart beating fast as she looked at the massive doors of the Galactic Federation Academy. Ships of all sizes and shapes flew past the giant windows. Aliens of different colors and forms walked by, some with 4 arms, others with scales, and a few that looked like they were made of light. "Move along, human," said a tall, blue-skinned security officer. "You're blocking the path." Olivia nodded quickly and pulled her small bag closer. At 22 years old, she was the first human cadet accepted to the academy in over 10 years. Back on her family's farm in Nebraska, being accepted had seemed like a dream come true. Now, standing among beings twice her size, it felt more like a mistake. The orientation hall was filled with hundreds of new cadets. Olivia found a seat in the back, trying to ignore the stares. A group of muscular, bull-like aliens, Taurians, pointed at her and laughed. "Is that really a human?" one of them said, not bothering to lower his voice. "I thought they were just bringing them as pets now." Olivia kept her eyes forward, pretending not to hear. On the stage, a stern-looking woman with gray hair and a human face stepped up to the podium. Olivia sat up straighter. Commander Patricia Duncan, the only other human at the academy. "Welcome, cadets," Commander Duncan said, her voice strong and clear. "You are the future of the Federation. Some of you come from warrior cultures, others from worlds of science and learning. All of you bring value." Her eyes moved across the crowd, stopping briefly on Olivia. After the welcome speech, Olivia followed a map on her tablet to her room. Inside, she found her roommate already unpacking, a green, 4-armed reptilian being. "You must be Klovex," Olivia said with a smile. The Saurian looked Olivia up and down. "They paired me with a human. I requested a roommate who could keep up with physical training." "I can keep up," Olivia said, trying to sound confident. Klovex made a sound like a snort. "We'll see." The next morning, Olivia woke early for her first combat assessment. The training room was set to 1.3 Earth gravity, and her legs felt heavy as she walked in. The instructor, Drill Sergeant Mason, was a tall, gray-skinned alien with eyes that seemed to see through her. "Today we test your basic combat skills," he announced. "Each cadet will run the Level 1 course while we measure your speed, strength, and reflexes." When Olivia's turn came, she stepped onto the platform. Lights flashed, and holographic enemies appeared around her. She tried to move as she had during practice back on Earth, but her body felt slow, her strikes weak. A holographic enemy that looked like a floating ball of spikes flew at her head. She ducked too late and fell to the floor as the system counted a hit. By the end of the course, Olivia was sweating and breathing hard. The scoreboard showed her name at the very bottom. "Right," Sergeant Mason called out. "That was the worst performance I've seen in 15 years. Are all humans this week, or just you?" Laughter filled the room. A tall Taurian cadet named Dravnexus called out, "Maybe she should try the children's course." More laughter followed. Olivia felt her face burn with shame, but she stood straight and faced the instructor. "I'll do better tomorrow, sir." "You'd better," he said, "or you won't last a month here." That night, alone in her room while Klovex was out, Olivia pulled out a small glass cube. She pressed its side, and a hologram appeared, her parents and younger sister back on the farm, smiling and waving. "I'm not going to quit," she whispered to their images. "Not now, not ever." Outside her window, the stars of an unfamiliar sky twinkled. Somewhere out there was Earth, so far away. Olivia took a deep breath and began to plan how she would prove everyone wrong. 3 months passed at the academy. Olivia tried hard every day, but her scores remained low. In the dining hall, she sat alone most days. The other cadets had stopped laughing at her, but now they just ignored her. "Cadet Wright, report to Medical Bay for examination," said a voice from her wristband one morning. Olivia walked to the medical bay wondering if they had found a way to send her back to Earth. Inside, a kind-faced woman with curly red hair waited for her. I'm Dr. Eleanor Rivers, she said. I'm the xenobiologist here. That means I study how different species' bodies work. Am I being sent home? Olivia asked directly. Dr. Rivers smiled. No. I've been watching your training data. Please lie down on this scanner. Olivia lay down on the flat metal bed. A blue light moved over her body from head to toe. Interesting, Dr. Rivers said, looking at her screen. Very interesting. What is it? Olivia asked. Your brain patterns. They're unique. Dr. Rivers turned the screen so Olivia could see colorful waves moving across it. See how this part lights up when you're solving problems. You process information differently than the other species here. Is that bad? No, it's just different. The Academy trains everyone the same way, but different species have different strengths. Dr. Rivers tapped her chin thoughtfully. Tell me, have you tried the old combat simulator on level 3? No, we only use the neural training rooms. The neural rooms are designed for species with different brain structures. Come with me. Dr. Rivers led Olivia to a dusty room filled with old equipment. In the center stood what looked like a round platform with handles on the sides. This is how humans trained before neural interfaces became standard, Dr. Rivers explained. It uses your natural movements and thought patterns instead of pushing preset combat forms into your brain. She showed Olivia how to use the old machine. Try practicing here after your regular training, and don't tell anyone yet. That night, after everyone was asleep, Olivia snuck to the old simulator room. She stepped onto the platform and activated it. Holographic enemies appeared around her, moving much as they did in regular training. But this time, something felt different. She could think more clearly, move more freely. For 2 weeks, Olivia trained secretly at night. During the day, she still struggled in regular classes. But at night on the old machine, she was getting better. She began to notice patterns in how the enemies moved. She started to predict their attacks. One night, as she finished training, she turned to find her roommate Clivex standing in the doorway. So this is where you go every night, the Saurian said, her 4 arms crossed. I'm not breaking any rules, Olivia said quickly. Clivex stepped closer, looking at the old simulator. This is ancient technology. Why use this when we have neural trainers? The neural trainers are made for your kind of mind, not mine, Olivia explained. This lets me use human thinking. Clivex watched as Olivia demonstrated a training sequence. Her eyes widened as she saw Olivia move with a grace and speed she never showed in regular class. You're actually good, Clivex said, sounding surprised. Don't tell anyone. Not yet. Why not? I want to be ready. Really ready. Olivia looked at the simulator. And I think I've found something else. The Federation fights one way, head on, using strength and technology. But humans had different ways of fighting. We call it adaptability. At that moment, alarms began to sound throughout the station. A voice came over the speakers. All cadets report to Assembly Hall immediately. This is not a drill. Commander Duncan's voice was tense as she addressed the gathered cadets. Intelligence reports that the Krell Empire has developed new infiltration technology. Our training focus will now shift to adaptive combat scenarios. Olivia and Clivex exchanged looks. Adaptive combat. Exactly what Olivia had been practicing. Maybe, Clivex whispered. This is your chance to show what humans can do. 6 months into the academy year, Olivia had changed. She trained every day with the regular class, but at night, she worked on her own style of fighting. Instead of trying to be stronger like the Taurians or faster like the Vexians, she became unpredictable. Humans fought wars for thousands of years, Dr. Rivers explained one evening as she gave Olivia old books to study. They didn't have the strongest bodies or the best technology, but they adapted. Olivia read about guerrilla warfare, surprise attacks, and how to use an enemy's strength against them. These old human tactics weren't taught at the academy, but they worked. Clivex had become her training partner. The Saurian was strong with her 4 arms, but she was curious about Olivia's human way of fighting. "Hit me again," Klovex said during one practice. "But this time, don't think about where you'll strike. Just react." Olivia moved without planning. When Klovex swung her upper right arm, Olivia didn't try to block the powerful blow. Instead, she stepped aside and used Klovex's own momentum to pull her forward, sending the surprised Saurian tumbling to the floor. "That was different," Klovex said, standing up and brushing herself off. "No one fights like that here." "That's why it works," Olivia replied with a small smile. Soon, other cadets who didn't fit the Academy's perfect soldier model began to join their secret training. There was Ziv, a small, quick alien who everyone thought was too weak, and Brel, a heavy-bodied cadet who moved slowly but could think faster than anyone. They formed a strange group, each bringing their own unique skills. Olivia taught them to use what made them different as a strength, not a weakness. When mid-year assessments came, Olivia still scored low on standard strength tests, but in the new adaptive combat scenarios, she performed much better. She wasn't at the top, but she was no longer at the bottom. Sergeant Mason looked confused when he saw her scores. "Luck," he muttered, walking away. But Commander Duncan watched with a knowing look in her eyes. After class, she stopped Olivia in the hallway. "Interesting improvement. Cadet right," she said, "almost as if you've been getting extra training." Olivia's heart beat faster. "Just working hard, Commander." Duncan nodded slowly. "Keep working, but perhaps focus more on scenarios 3 through 7. They test adaptation." She walked away before Olivia could respond. That night, Olivia realized the commander had just given her a hint about what to practice. The next day in the mess hall, Dravnexus, the Taurian who had laughed at her on the first day, blocked her path to a table. "I saw your scores, human," he said loudly so everyone could hear. "Trying to play soldier? You'll never be strong enough to face real combat." The room went quiet. This was the moment when, months ago, Olivia would have looked down and walked away. But she was different now. "Combat isn't always about being the strongest, Cadet Nexus," she said calmly. "Sometimes it's about being the smartest." "Are you calling me stupid?" Drav growled, stepping closer. He was nearly 2 feet taller than her. "I'm saying that if we were in real combat, your size would make you an easy target. Your strength is impressive, but your turning speed is slow. You telegraph your moves before you make them." She pointed to his stance. "Even now, you're leaning right, planning to step forward with your left foot." Drav froze, suddenly aware that she was right. "How did you?" "Observation. Adaptation. Human skills." Olivia stepped around him and walked to her table where Klovex, Ziv, and Brel waited. Behind her, the mess hall filled with whispers. Drav stood still, his face dark with anger, and for the first time, something else, uncertainty. That night, as Olivia trained her small group, Commander Duncan watched silently from the shadows of the doorway, a small smile on her face. "The Proxima trials will begin in 1 week," announced Commander Duncan to the gathered cadets. "These trials will determine your future in the Federation." Whispers ran through the hall. The Proxima trials were famous for their difficulty. Many cadets failed each year. Olivia sat with her small group, Klovex, Ziv, and Brel. They had been training together for months now. Each had improved in their own way. "The trials test everything," Klovex explained to Olivia. "Combat, decision-making, teamwork. Cadets who score highest get the best ship assignments." Olivia nodded, feeling nervous but ready. Her secret training had prepared her better than most knew. That evening, when Olivia entered the simulator room, Dr. Rivers was waiting with a serious look. "I have news," said the doctor. "Admiral Grace Howard is coming to watch the trials." "Who is Admiral Howard?" asked Olivia. "One of the most powerful humans in the Federation," Dr. Rivers explained. "She commands the 3rd Fleet. If she sees your potential, it could change everything for humans at the Academy." The first day of the trials arrived. Hundreds of cadets gathered in the main arena. The first test was a simple combat simulation. Each cadet would face a series of holographic enemies. When Olivia's turn came, she stepped onto the platform. The room was quiet. Everyone remembered her poor performance months ago. The simulation began. 3 holographic warriors appeared around her. Instead of trying to overpower them like the Taurians had done, Olivia watched their movements carefully. She noticed patterns, saw openings, and struck at the right moments. Her movements were quick and unpredictable. When the simulation ended, her score flashed on the board. 8th place out of 200 cadets. Not the highest, but enough to make everyone stare in shock. "That can't be right," said Dravnexus loudly. "The human must have cheated." Sergeant Mason checked the records. No cheating detected. Cadet Wright's score stands. As Olivia left the arena, she noticed a tall human woman with silver hair watching her. Admiral Howard's eyes followed Olivia with interest. The next day, Olivia found her training equipment damaged. Her practice suit was cut in several places, and her data pad was missing. "Someone doesn't want you to succeed," said Klevex, helping her fix the suit. That night, Klevex caught Drav sneaking into their room with Olivia's missing data pad. The Saurian confronted him, and a fight broke out. Both were taken to Commander Duncan's office. Cadet Nexus was trying to sabotage Cadet Wright's equipment, Klevex reported. Drav denied everything. "The forearm is lying. Humans can't possibly score that high without cheating. Her roommate must be helping her." Commander Duncan looked at both cadets carefully. "Serious accusations, Cadet Nexus. Do you have proof that Cadet Wright cheated?" Drav had none. "And you, Cadet Klevex, do you have proof that Cadet Nexus took the data pad?" "I caught him with it in his hands," she said. Duncan turned to Olivia, who had been called in. "Cadet Wright, what do you think happened?" "I think Cadet Nexus is afraid," Olivia said simply. "Not of me, but of what I represent, that the old ways might not be the only ways to excel." The room was silent for a moment. "Both of you will receive warnings," Duncan finally said. "And the trials will continue tomorrow." As they left the office, Admiral Howard was waiting in the hallway. She nodded slightly to Olivia. "Cadet Wright," she said in a quiet voice as Olivia passed. "Your ancestors fought wars with sticks and stones before they built spaceships. Remember that sometimes the oldest tactics are the ones enemies least expect." The next day, Olivia advanced to the final rounds of the Proxima trials, the first human to do so in 20 years. That night, she received a message on her repaired data pad. "Meet me at Observation Deck B. Admiral Howard." Olivia's heart beat fast as she realized the Proxima trials were about to become much more than just academy tests. Olivia walked nervously to Observation Deck B. The large room had glass walls that showed the stars outside. Admiral Howard stood alone, looking out at space. "Cadet Wright," Admiral Howard said without turning. "What do you see when you look at the stars?" Olivia stood beside her. "I see possibilities." "Admiral." Howard nodded. "Good answer." She turned to face Olivia. "I've been watching your progress. You fight differently than the others." "I use human ways, Admiral. We may not be the strongest, but we adapt." Before Howard could respond, red lights began flashing. A loud alarm sounded throughout the station. "Alert! Alert! Unknown ship detected in Academy space." The Admiral's wristband lit up. "Howard here. Report." "Admiral," came a voice. "A Krell scout ship has entered our space. It's using some kind of new cloaking technology. Our sensors can barely detect it." Howard's face turned serious. "I'm on my way to command. Cadet Wright, come with me." Olivia followed the Admiral through the hallways. Cadets were running to their emergency stations. In the command center, senior officers were gathered around screens. "Status report," Howard ordered. "The Krell ship is moving closer to the station," said a blue-skinned officer. "Our weapons can't lock onto it." The nearest Federation warship is 3 days away. Howard turned to the group. Ideas. The officers began suggesting complicated technical solutions. Olivia listened quietly, then spoke up. Admiral, may I make a suggestion? Everyone turned to look at her. Some officers frowned at a cadet speaking in the command center. Go ahead, Cadet Wright, Howard said. On Earth, we had ships that traveled underwater called submarines, Olivia explained. When they were hidden, we couldn't see them directly, but we could see the small changes they made to the water around them. She moved to a screen and pointed. What if we look not for the ship itself, but for how it affects space around it, like ripples in water? The room was quiet. Then Howard nodded. Recalibrate sensors to detect spatial distortions rather than the ship itself. The officers worked quickly. Soon, a faint outline appeared on the main screen. It's working. Someone called out. We have a partial lock on the Krell ship. Just then, the station shook violently. Lights flickered. They'd fired on us. An officer reported. Communications array is damaged. We can't call for help. Howard looked around the room. We need to repair the communications array immediately. It's outside the station. I'll go, Olivia volunteered. You'll need help, Howard said. She looked at the officer next to her. Select 2 more cadets for the repair team. Minutes later, Olivia was putting on a spacesuit along with 2 other cadets, Klovex, and to her surprise, Giraffe Nexus. This is not training, Howard told them. This is real combat conditions. The Krell ship is still out there. Your job is to repair the communications array so we can call for help. The 3 cadets moved through the airlock and out onto the surface of the station. They used magnetic boots to walk along the hull toward the damaged array. Stay alert, Olivia said, scanning space around them. The Krell ship could be anywhere. I don't take orders from humans, Giraffe muttered, but he stayed close. They reached the damaged array. While Klovex held the replacement parts with her 4 arms, Olivia and Giraffe began repairs. Suddenly, Olivia saw a faint ripple in the stars, just like the distortion on the screen. Down, she shouted, grabbing Giraffe and pulling him flat against the hull. A bright energy beam passed over them, hitting the spot where Giraffe had been standing. The big Taurian looked at Olivia with shock in his eyes. You saved me, he said. We're a team now, Olivia replied. Let's finish the repairs and get back inside. Working together, they fixed the communications array. As they hurried back to the airlock, Olivia knew something had changed. She had proven herself not just in training, but in real danger. And Giraffe Nexus would never look at humans the same way again. Olivia sat in the medical bay as a doctor checked her for injuries after the spacewalk. Her arm had a small cut where a piece of metal had torn her suit, but it wasn't serious. The door opened and Admiral Howard walked in. How are you feeling, Cadet Wright? I'm fine, Admiral, Olivia said, sitting up straighter. Howard dismissed the doctor with a nod. When they were alone, she sat next to Olivia's bed. What you did today saved this station, Howard said. Your idea to track the Krell ship by its effect on space rather than the ship itself was brilliant. Where did you learn that? Old Earth naval tactics, Admiral. Sometimes the oldest methods work against new technology. Howard smiled. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. She looked around to make sure they were alone. The Proxima trials aren't just about finding the strongest fighters. They're not, Olivia asked, surprised. No, they're about finding cadets who can think differently, who can adapt. Howard's voice grew soft, something the Federation has forgotten in recent years. Howard stood and paced the room. 20 years ago, humans were more respected in the Federation. We didn't have the physical strength of the Taurians or the mental powers of the Vexians, but we had something else. Adaptability. What changed? Olivia asked. The Federation began to standardize everything. Training, tactics, even thinking. Species that didn't fit the mold were pushed aside. I've been fighting against this trend for years. She looked directly at Olivia. Your performance is proof that diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. Just then, Commander Duncan entered the medical bay. Admiral, the Federation fleet has arrived. The Krell ship has been captured. Excellent. What did we learn? Howard asked. The Krell's new technology was specifically designed to exploit our standard sensor configurations and combat protocols. They studied our patterns and found our weaknesses. Duncan glanced at Olivia. If Cadet Wright hadn't suggested looking for space distortions, we might never have detected them in time. Howard nodded. Exactly my point. Standardization makes us predictable. She turned to Olivia. The final round of the Proxima trials is tomorrow. Are you ready? I think so, Admiral, Olivia said, although she felt nervous. As Howard and Duncan left, Klovex entered, carrying something wrapped in cloth. How are you? The Saurian asked, concern in her voice. Just a scratch. How's Drav? Confused, Klovex said with a smile. He can't understand why you saved him after how he treated you. We're all cadets. We look out for each other. Klovex nodded and placed the wrapped object on the bed. Some of us made this for you. For tomorrow. Olivia unwrapped the cloth to find a modified combat suit. Unlike the standard gray Federation suits, this one was sleek and fitted to her human form. We all contributed, Klovex explained. Ziv added flexibility to the joints. Brel improved the neural connections. I worked on the strength-to-weight ratio. Olivia ran her hand over the suit. It's amazing. But why? Because you showed us that being different isn't a weakness, Klovex said. This suit doesn't try to make you stronger like a Taurian or faster like a Vexin. It enhances what makes you human, your adaptability. Olivia felt tears in her eyes as she looked at the gift. Thank you, she whispered. That night, as she prepared for bed, Olivia received a message on her datapad. It was from Drav Nexus. I was wrong about humans. Good luck tomorrow. The next morning, Olivia stood at the entrance to the final trial arena. Cadets and instructors filled the viewing stands. In the front row sat Admiral Howard, Commander Duncan, and Dr. Rivers. As Olivia walked to the center of the arena in her new combat suit, whispers followed her. But this time, they weren't mocking. They were curious. What would the human do now? The final trial took place in the Academy's holographic combat chamber. The room could create any battle scenario, making it feel completely real. Cadets, Admiral Howard announced, today's final challenge will test your ability to fight against the Krell using their new cloaking technology. I have personally designed this test. Olivia watched as the first cadets took their turns. Strong Taurians like Drav used powerful weapons and brute force, but struggled when the holographic Krell adapted to their tactics. The Vexians tried to sense their invisible enemies with their mental powers, but the Krell technology blocked them. When it was Olivia's turn, she walked to the center of the chamber in her new combat suit. The room transformed into a dense forest with tall trees and thick fog. Begin, said Admiral Howard's voice. At first, nothing happened. Olivia stood still, listening. She remembered old stories about Earth hunters who could track animals by the smallest signs: a broken twig, disturbed leaves, the silence of birds. She knelt and touched the ground, feeling for vibrations. There, a slight movement to her left. Instead of looking directly at it, she watched from the corner of her eye, seeing a faint ripple in the air. The invisible Krell soldier moved closer. Olivia pretended not to notice, then suddenly rolled to the side as the creature attacked. She grabbed a handful of dirt and threw it into the air, revealing the Krell's outline. Using her suit's enhanced reflexes, Olivia struck at the now visible enemy. The hologram faded away, defeated. More Krell appeared, learning from the first one's mistake. They moved silently, avoiding loose dirt and leaves. But Olivia had another plan. She climbed a tree and broke off a branch, using it to disturb a nest of glowing insects. The angry insects flew in all directions, sticking to anything they touched, including invisible Krell soldiers. One by one, Olivia defeated the Krull squad. But instead of just fighting them, she used the environment to her advantage, creating traps and confusion among her enemies. For the final challenge, 5 Krull surrounded her, too many to fight directly. Olivia spotted a small stream nearby. She ran to it and splashed water everywhere, revealing the Krull's outlines as water droplets clung to their invisible forms. Then she surprised everyone by throwing down her weapon. "Your mission has failed," she called out to the Krull. "The Federation now knows how to detect your ships. Your surprise attack will never work. Return to your empire with this message. We are ready for you." To everyone's amazement, the Krull holograms hesitated, then lowered their weapons and retreated. Olivia had not just fought them, she had outfought them. The simulation ended. The room was completely silent. Then Admiral Howard stood up and began to clap. Commander Duncan joined her, then Dr. Rivers, then Klovex and the other cadets. Soon the entire room was filled with applause. On the main screen, Olivia's score appeared, the highest in the history of the Proxima trials. "This," Admiral Howard said, addressing everyone, "is why we need diversity in the Federation. Different species, different ways of thinking." Cadet Wright didn't just win by fighting better. She won by thinking differently. 1 month later, Olivia stood proudly at her graduation ceremony. She wore the silver uniform of a Federation officer with a new badge, a special advisor to Admiral Howard's command staff. As Commander Duncan pinned the rank insignia to her uniform, she whispered, "I fought for years to bring humans back to the Academy. Thank you for proving me right." After the ceremony, Olivia noticed a group of new cadets arriving for the next term. Among them were several humans, including a young woman who looked familiar. "Amy?" Olivia called out in surprise. Her younger sister ran to hug her. "When we heard what you did, hundreds of humans applied to the Academy. They accepted 20 of us." Admiral Howard approached them with a smile. "Lieutenant Wright, ready to board the U.S. Horizon? We have a mission to the edge of Federation space." Olivia nodded, looking at the stars through the window. She was no longer the joke of the Academy. She was the human who had changed everything. "Show us what humans can do," Admiral Howard said as they walked toward the ship. Olivia smiled. "We already have, Admiral, and this is just the beginning."